Joe, this week's episode is called The Family Ties. I don't think it's about Alex P. Keaton, so
No.
I think it's referring to something very different.
It's
Kinda
not an
gross.
ominous horror movie title at all.
No, not at all. I didn't write as many notes on this episode. I was kind of just getting pulled in to the drama, but the basic this is a pretty easy episode to summarize in the sense of we really only have three storylines that I think we need to follow here. Storyline number one is all of the Lindsay and the Coens side of things.
Yeah.
What does Lindsay being somewhat tied to the Coen family mean for her and Ryan's relationship? What does that mean for Kirsten and Lindsay, who are now half sisters? There's a whole bunch there. The other side of it is the Jimmy Cooper leaving the show aspect of it. And then lastly is the Seth Cohen trying to impress Alex by being a quote unquote bad boy. And I think we can do something that we've done a few times where we'll just analyze each plot point in a singular lens.
Yep.
And there's a very specific vision that I have for this. So we'll start with the Cohen-Lindsay stuff because I think that that's kind of on a lower tier. Things are mostly fine here.
Yeah.
Kirsten and her, I mean, I can't even... In TV shows, sometimes you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of a situation. I cannot imagine the scenario where I find out that I would be of the age to have a child in high school and then find out that I have a brother the same age as my child in high school. That would be just earth-shattering information.
I have a question for you, Matt.
I might have an answer. What's up?
If you found out that your adoptive mother, her half-sister, was the girl you were dating, would you still date her?
So we got to do a lot of things here. First of all, I have an adoptive mother. And this is, I think another key thing is adoptive mother that you've only known for about a year.
Yes.
So this isn't you got adopted when you were 3.
No, this is
you're aware who your mom
17.
is.
He's basically an adult.
This is ultimately, would you date your friend's mom's sister if she was the same age as you? Is what it comes down to. I know, and I think in that situation, it'd be a little weird, but sure, especially if I was already dating them and then found out after the fact, I'd be it would be weird, but I'd be there's no blood anything tied to any of this. Now, I don't know about you, Joe, but I can be a realist sometimes, and I would weigh the how much damage and overall problems will this be down the line of it all. It's all right, if we don't work out, how hard will it be to hang out with my friend? But I think ultimately it's a long lost sibling. I think I'd mostly feel like I'm in the clear to keep up, especially since the family seems to be given the blessing.
Yeah.
They're all Ryan, put it in her.
It's very Midsommar, right? It's very we need a new person to make the bloodline to. Yeah,
it's wow. So I mean, that's the minor plot. I think the next one that we have to dive into is Seth and Alex. Because the Seth and Alex one, I don't even understand what his game plan here was I'm going to be drunk at work and she will just be madly in love with me because of it.
Well, but not even working there, right? He's fully quit. And it's just I'm quitting. I can't do it.
I'm here with my friend Jimmy or Jack or John
or whatever. And also too, again, just in the same way that workplace labor laws are not in effect. Apparently, the ABC laws are not in effect either for this place because she's the manager of the bar, fully watching a former employee underage drinking alcohol that he brought in and not doing a goddamn thing about it.
Doing a single thing.
How
it is so
she
strange.
doing this?
But the line of the episode is when Seth walks up to Summer and she goes, "Cohen, your breath smells like Marissa." And I was like, how do you know your friend has a drinking problem without saying that your friend has a drinking problem?
But again, it's not, it's not a read. It's just a fact. Like, that's not shade. That's a fact.
Seth tries to, eventually it gets so bad at the Modest Mouse concert that Seth gets kicked out of the club. He threw up on the merch table.
Modest Mouse.
Yeah, he threw up on the merch table. Ryan's got to take him home. Ryan's trying to stealthily get Seth into the house undetected. Drunk Seth has no chill in order to do that. Highlight of the episode, Joe, is the next morning. Seth wakes up and Ryan just throws a bottle of aspirin right at his head.
Yep.
And man, if that didn't get a big old laugh out of me when that happened, I don't know what else did. I should mention the highlight of the episode. I've made a rule for myself. It can never be the band performances because obviously, if it's a band I like, that's going to be the highlight of the episode. So I got to dig deeper than that. The reason why I wanted to do that first, talking about your breath smells like Marissa, let's get into the Jimmy Cooper plot line that is kind of the story of this episode. So I'm going to read to you the two notes that I wrote back to back. Marissa's going to surprise Jimmy by forcing a meeting with DJ. That seems kind of weird. And that's when they're walking down the pier and they catch Jimmy making out with Julie. Then it's like 5 minutes later in the episode, and Jimmy's like, "Hey, why did you and DJ no show? I was really looking forward to meeting him." And I was like, wait a second. You knew that your daughter was bringing her boyfriend here, and you still, with zero cares in the world, was making out with the woman she hates the most on your boat in Clearview?
It's a fucking horn dog.
What the fuck are you thinking about? And then I wrote down this too. I'm an OC fan because I wrote there is a 1,000% chance that Jimmy leaving will bring out drunken, annoying, and borderline suicidal Marissa.
Wow.
I
you
thought
called it
later down. I thought in a couple episodes, but nope. For some reason, the Coens are throwing a party for their best buddy, Jimmy Cooper. I do love, by the way, that Jimmy goes to the Kirsten and Sandy for advice on what to do with the Julie Cooper thing. Yeah. They're throwing him this big ass party.
Seth is like, I know I should be used to this by now, but we're throwing a party. And the stupidest thing is that Kirsten is arranging this very elaborate flower treatment. It's it's got sticks and vines, and I'm like, what the fuck is this is you just threw this together? What is this? This has nothing to do with Jimmy. Jimmy's not about that bullshit.
Oh, and then also great Sandy Cohen line when Seth wakes up and he goes, "Well, if it isn't my son, the wino." But man,
when Daddy Cohen is disappointed, it just makes me.
But yeah, we get this whole party, this sassiness throughout this party. But Joe, the main thing we need to talk about here, the most unexpected twist of all time, Marissa shows up to this thing drunk and makes everything about herself and causes a scene. And that's where we leave off here. I'm going to have to ask you the question, though. Mm-hmm. Is this a series wrap on Jimmy Cooper?
Oh, my God. I honestly don't remember.
Oh, no.
I honestly don't remember. Wait, you're just going to breeze? Hold on.
I need to know. I need to know before we go anywhere else, because I'm like, why else would they be doing this stupid he's got to go to Hawaii for 6 months plot line?
Then
honestly, if not to write Tate Donovan off of the show.
I don't think it's a series wrap. It doesn't make sense for it to be, because well,
clearly
he's
happens. In a bunch. Clearly he's very important to the plot. The rest of the season.
But hold on, Matt, you're just gonna breeze by Marissa's drunken tirade
where she tells both of them that she hates them both.
Yeah. where she's the daughter of a thief and a slut. Like, come on. I'm like, that like hurt my soul so much because I was like, girl, if I said that shit to my parents, I would be fucking, I'm 34 years old and I would be ended.
I would be terrified to speak to my parents in such a way. Like, legitimately. All right, it says he was only in 39 episodes of the OC. So,
well, it feels like it's been 39 episodes already.
Yeah, we're getting close. If he comes back, it's probably for the briefest amount of time. Here's the thing that I had no clue about Tate Donovan. Did not realize that he was the voice of Hercules in the Disney cartoon.
You didn't?
Of Hercules. No, never knew that until I clicked into his wiki page just now.
He's definitely not the singing voice because at that time, Disney was not doing that. Was Donny Osmond, I think.
No, Donny Osmond. Man, we're going to go on a tangent, but that's all right.
No, Donny Osmond was the voice of Shang in Mulan.
Shang in Mulan, yeah.
Which, like, is so fucked up because BD Wong can sing, who was the speaking voice of Shang.
Yeah, no, I think honestly, up until a certain point, the only exception to that rule was Ariel. Like, the voice actress for Ariel was like one of the only ones that actually was allowed to sing. Roger Bart provides the singing voice for Hercules.
Oh, do you know who Roger Bart is?
He was Snoopy in the revival of You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, according to Wikipedia.
Did you ever watch the Producers movie?
Yes.
He was Carmen.
Oh, okay.
No, even better. No, this is how you would. I don't know why I went to the Producers movie. He's the fucking. He's the guy that you see in the beginning of Hostel 2 that's getting initiated into the cult.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
That's Roger Bart.
I'm looking at his very interesting Wikipedia. He's a featured diner in Tick, Tick, Boom, which I don't think you and I have ever talked about this. What is your feelings on the movie Tick, Tick, Boom? Because I haven't
seen it yet.
You haven't seen it? I liked it quite a bit.
No, and I like Andrew Garfield. I was more living for Andrew Garfield's press tour that he did when he was doing Tick, Tick, Boom.
So here's my weird hot take. Because, like, obviously, you know that Tick, Tick, Boom is about the life of Jonathan Larson. Never was a fan of Rent. Liked all of the songs in Tick, Tick, Boom better than I liked 90% of the songs in Rent. Weird hot take, I know. But...
not that hot. It's something that I've heard before, but you know, no one's perfect and you're straight, so it really doesn't. it's okay, Matt.
I will also admit this. I've only experienced Rent in the film version of it. So maybe that's my folly there, but I was like, man, Seasons of Love is such a great song. And then, like, the rest of the movie, I was like, most of these songs are not very memorable.
Well, it's funny because Seasons of Love doesn't have that placement.
Yeah. Oh, like not the opening of the entire.
No, Seasons of Love is the opening of the second act,
which makes way more sense to me. I was like, this feels really weird to like kind of have your best known song at the very front of this, but whatever. Sorry, we're going on all these different tangents. Yes, this argument, this fight, this bullshit, for lack of a better term, that Marissa just starts dropping on her family.
Oh my gosh. I was like expecting her to get slapped across the face too. Just like,
no, she actually got away scot-free on this whole thing. She brought over some bagels and won over the Cohen family.
She was like, I'm sorry I was a drunken whore again. Not even whore. Drunken mess. Sorry.
Man, sorry. I'm doing like the quick math in my head though on this Tate Donovan thing. So if there was 27 episodes in the first season, and this is episode 7, and he was in 39, there's 5 other episodes that he shows up in the rest of the run of the series. So it might not be a full series rep, but it's pretty goddamn close to it. Wow. They're just writing off main characters left and right this season.
Yeah.
Is he still going to be in the opening credits? I just noticed he made it into it this season.
Well, see, that's the shitty thing is that like he could do those 5 episodes in the back half of this thing and still be in the opening credits because, again, you know, contracts being what they are.
Yeah. I mean, hey, as Gilmore Guys fans, we know all about the weird credits for Mr. Gilmore. Like,
yes. My favorite like, weird credit for Mr. Gilmore is he's like the weird house guest in Robert Redford Breaking Bad, Great Gatsby.
Okay. Breaking Bad, Great Gatsby, both basically the same storylines.
Basically.
But you know what? Like, I actually had higher expectations for talking about this episode, but it really is just a lot of filler, and then like the craziness of what happens at the end of the episode with Jimmy's goodbye. You know what? We'll start here before we dive into the music. I want to ask you: are you a Modest Mouse fan?
Beyond Float On, no.
Okay, well then, I think our song of the episode will be very different then, because I would actually legitimately say that Modest Mouse probably falls within like my top 20 bands of all time. I really like Modest Mouse.
I say this in not a shady way, but I love that for you because
let me give you a little bit of my Modest Mouse background, because it actually plays into a mutual friend of ours, and we'll use it as a quick promotion for the said mutual friend's book that's available everywhere. I worked at a retirement home with my friend Eric Brown, and he wrote a book about his experiences working at that retirement home called Lose You to Find Me. It's available in most bookstores at this point in time. But him, myself, and our friend Holly would ride into work together, and then Holly would drive us all back to our houses at the end of each day. And at the time that the album with Float On came out, that was Holly's favorite album. So she would listen to that album all the time. So that album like represents that is 2003, riding in the car, windows down, specifically coming home from work. It was like a great, like, we're out of work, the whole day's ahead of us, and she's the one that got me really into Modest Mouse. And then I kept buying more and more of their albums, because by the time they blew up, they had like 5 albums already. Mm-hmm. So you could build a nice back catalog of songs. So they have a special meaning towards like my senior year of high school, and then furthermore like fit into the whole future, like just a band I've always liked to follow. They're weird, they're interesting, they're different.
Do you like to laugh, geek out on music, and learn all about that band or artist who had that one song back in the day, but then seemed to fall off the face of the earth? If so, you need to subscribe to One Hit Thunder. Together with an array of interesting and hilarious guests, we do a weekly dive into one-hit wonders like Eiffel 65's Blue, Krayshawn's Gucci Gucci, EMF's Unbelievable, Delamitri's Roll to Me, Los Del Rio's Macarena, Musical Youth's Pass the Dutchie, and even Patrick Swayze's She's Like the Wind. So are you subscribed to One Hit Thunder or what? As Desiree would say, you gotta be. And as K7 would encourage, you gotta come, baby, come and join in on the fun of the One Hit Thunder podcast.
Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come, come. Come, baby, come, baby, baby, come.
So this episode, we get a Modest Mouse concert. And we get to hear 3 different Modest Mouse songs through the episode. So the first Modest Mouse song we hear, we see them playing their song, Paper Thin Walls. The second song we hear them playing is a song called The View. When Jimmy's going away party first kicks off, we hear Blue Foundation's Save This Town. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna try to pronounce this band's name. Martina Talapi Bird with Soul Food plays when Marissa is being her typical obnoxious human being and ruining the party. Elliott Smith Twilight plays when Ryan and Lindsay finally kiss in the pool house and decide, you know what? Everything's A-okay. And then at the end of the episode, we get a return from Modest Mouse with their song World at Large that plays as Marissa provides the family with bagels. Joe, the audience already knows that I'm going to pick a Modest Mouse song, so I'll let them sit in anticipation for which of those 3 songs I go with. But for you, I need to ask, what was your song of the episode?
I just love it because I'm a gay. Elliott Smith.
Twilight? Yeah. Elliott Smith's great. There ain't no shame in that game. I went with The View by Modest Mouse for no other reason than it's my favorite song that they've ever written. It's a deep cut, and the fact that it's one of the songs that they play in this episode kind of caught me off guard. Joe, what are some things that you may have wanted to promote? I'm actually going to cheat because I got 2 things I'm going to talk about on this episode.
He got 2 things. Well, you know what? Let's go back and forth. So why don't you go first, and I'll go. And then I'll do 2 too. How about that?
Oh, I love that. All right. So the first one I'm going to mention is I read a graphic novel that I received as a gift for being a groomsman at a wedding in October called Essex County by Jeff Lemire. It's a pretty interesting book. Very little dialogue in it. It's a lot of pictures. And it's 4 short stories of the lives of different people in a small county called Essex County. And it's kind of beautiful, sad, touching, sweet, all of those things. I highly recommend it to everybody. It's not something that's going to change your life, but it's something that you will, if you've always been kind of like, I don't know about comics, I think it shows how pretty of an art form comics can be in its most simplistic state.
Nice.
All right, what's your first?
The Bear season 2.
I haven't even watched The Bear season 1. I know I need to get on this shit because it seems like people are loving it.
It's beautiful. The season 2 of The Bear is like, it's a completely different show while still taking, like, still holding true to the same elements. It's also like, if you are an anxious person, like, trigger warning, because there's a lot of things that are very cringe and very anxiety inducing, especially around episode 6. But it's a beautiful show, and I'm talking about it a lot with folks right now because it's one of those shows that, like, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about it and what it's trying to say. But it's very much like, I feel it's very much like it's very much an Empire Strikes Back, in the sense that, like, hopefully we are setting this up for a season 3 to be explored. So
okay.
The Bear season 2.
All right. So the other one that I'm going to mention is a podcast that I listened to all 13 episodes in 2 days. It feels like this show sat around for like a year, got a little bit of attention, and now out of nowhere, everybody's talking about it. And that podcast is, of course, Who Shat on the Floor at My Wedding, which it is such a strange podcast. Let's see. What better way to describe the podcast than in the words of the people who made it? So it says, "Who shat on my podcast?" Or "Who shat on the floor at my wedding? A true story involving 2 prides and 1 turd. What do you do if someone defecates on the floor at your wedding? Reevaluate your friends and family? No. You launch a true crime investigation podcast to find out who did it. Join the brides, Helen and Karen, and their extremely underqualified detective, Lauren, as they interrogate their wedding guests, hook bridesmaids up to polygraph machines, and speak to top forensics experts in an attempt to crack the case. Because a crime is not a laughing matter, except possibly this one." And it is legitimately what I just described, that at their wedding, someone pooped on the floor, and it's been 2 years and they still haven't figured out who did it. So they started a true crime podcast and started interrogating everybody from the wedding to try to solve the mystery.
Oh my God. I'm looking at it. Okay. Well, add to the list. Is this basically a 13 episode podcast of the Always Sunny episode Who Pooped the Bed?
I would actually, so the thing I would compare it to the most is the first season of American Vandal. It reminds me so much of that first season of American Vandal.
But this actually happened?
This actually happened to them. It's so funny because they'll like they'll be like, "Here's our special forensic guest." And they'll like rattle off these incredible qualifications. And they're like, "Next question, why are you agreeing to do our podcast?" And he's like, "Well, a lot of the time I have to deal with really horrible crimes, and this just seemed fun."
This is definitely not a horrible crime.
It's also, I know that this shouldn't matter, but they all have like British and New Zealand accents, and somehow that just makes it like astronomically more charming to me. But yeah, it's great.
I fucking love this.
It's so good. Joe, what I'm telling you, I literally found out about the show on 4th of July. and I've already finished it. Like, that's how quickly I rocked through it. I mean, the first like 8 episodes are 20 minutes apiece. Like, they're so quick and digestible. But yes, that is my other thing that everyone get on board. Season 2 is coming soon, they said. So we'll see. We'll see if it's a continuation of the case or in the last like 2
Wait, they
episodes.
don't figure it out? Oh, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil anything. There might be new evidence that came up. I don't know. But in the last 2 or 3 episodes, there have been ads where they're like, do you have a crime that the police aren't taking seriously? Contact us at whoshotOnTheFloor.com.
Oh my God.
And we will solve your
meaning
mystery.
To Encyclopedia Brown.
All right, Joe, you go ahead.
I'll do a podcast too. So my friend Jason is a self-proclaimed bookstagrammer. Like he does a podcast for the JCC of Manhattan, but he recently launched a new show where him and another gay bookstagrammer talk about books, and it's called Gays Reading. And it is it's been a fun listen so far. The first episode is really great. They kind of talk about like the books that made them. Not necessarily, it's not going to be a podcast about gay books specifically, but they do talk about like queer representation in books and, you know, the kind of books that they read that helped them with their sexuality and, you know, made them feel seen. And I got some really great recommendations. And anyone who listens to Fright School knows that, like, you know, there's a bit on the show that I don't read, but I've been trying. I set a goal for myself to read like 1 book for each month. So I have to read 12. And I've already picked like the next couple listening to the show. So Gays
Nice.
Reading.
Well, I've just subscribed to it, so I can't wait to check it out, actually.
Awesome.
Well, Joe, we certainly still have, you know, things are mostly tied up in a nice bit ribbon, but in the OC, how long does that ribbon actually stay attached? Not very well. So I'm sure that this time next week, we're going to be talking about even more white people problems.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.